Elizabeth Mendenhall.
And I'm Elizabeth Nyman.
And our topic is international seabed mining, which is an activity that's on the verge of expanding in the shared parts of the ocean and requires very large capital investments. But there are also a lot of risks, and our message is that the organization that manages seabed mining may not be ready to prevent significant harm to the marine environment. Now, in the late 1800s, the HMS Challenger expedition dredged the Pacific sea floor, and they pulled up a bunch of goo, but also clumps of minerals the size and shape of potatoes. We now call these things polymetallic nodules, and while the Challenger expedition discovered that they exist, we didn't know anything about their abundance or distribution until the 20th century. We now understand that these babies are spread across the abyssal plain. They contain gold, nickel, copper, iron, manganese, and it all precipitates out of the water column over millions of years. In the 60s, the mining industry got whipped into a frenzy over very optimistic estimates about their overall value, and that sparked fears that the rich countries would claim, exploit, and profit from this bonanza and wouldn't share the benefits. So the Maltese representative to the UN made a big speech saying that the seabed should be the common heritage of mankind. This synced up with the movement for a new international economic order where developing countries wanted to make sure that international laws weren't rigged against them. The common heritage idea stuck, and it got built into the Law of the Sea Convention, which is the Constitution for the Oceans. So the dark blue area is called the area, and it's the common heritage of mankind, which means there's no sovereignty claims. It's only used for peaceful purposes. It's cooperatively managed, and we got to protect it for future generations. Most importantly, common heritage means any benefits have to be equitably shared among the international community, which is kind of controversial. The International Seabed Authority is based in Jamaica. It controls and manages seabed mining in the area. And if you ratify the Law of the Sea, then you're automatically a voting member of the Seabed Authority and can help create the rules to govern seabed mining in the area. The Seabed Authority was created in the 90s, but its big job is just beginning as we move from exploration to exploitation. The Seabed Authority has issued 30 exploration contracts to 21 investors, including state-owned companies, international private companies working with state sponsors. China has the most permits, South Korea is number 2, the United States has none, and these exploration permits expire after 15 years, and they're starting to expire now.
As you can see, exploratory mining in both coastal areas as well as the deep sea has already begun. This includes mining in and near ecologically and biologically sensitive areas. We're going to focus on one of these, the bright yellow dots in the middle, which is called the Clarion Clipperton zone and has a number of deep sea mining permits already established by the International Seabed Authority. The Clarion Clipperton zone is one that you can see is already very well explored or in the process of being explored, where each of these different little colored squares represent a different mining interest or different corporation or country. So you have these exploratory mining permits that are being engaged in by several people. However, what we don't have yet are fully legalized and set regulations in order to protect the marine environment. We have, as you see on the left, recommendations, but as you see on the right, we're still in draft regulations. So recommendations, yes, regulations, no. And we have some severe concerns about environmental problems and degradation that go along with deep sea mining. One of these comes from life on the seafloor, whether that's sedentary life that's attached to the seafloor or marine life that take advantage of the habitat that sedentary life creates, like this eel seen here. This is in a deep sea area, so you can get kind of an idea of what's out there. We also worry about sound pollution in the sense that we already know that ships create sound pollution that make it difficult for large sea mammals like whales to both navigate and to speak with each other using whale song. We don't have the kind of information yet that tells us how this will be affected by mining. What we do know is that we need to have regulations in place so that we're aware of the risks and we make the appropriate steps to protect the marine environment if we engage in deep sea mining. We mostly want to make sure that we see transparency. That is, if something goes wrong, that we all know about it. And the other thing we need to remember is that the United States is not a party to the Convention on the Law of the Sea, meaning we're not a voting member of the Seabed Authority. We can't file for mining permits under that, neither the U.S. government nor corporations, and we also don't get a say in the regulations that are being drafted.